No! No! No!
It was terrible. Just terrible. It was the worst nightmare that I've ever had. Why? What happened? I dreamed I was Kane Corns! Fuck.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And it's only a rebuild if you look at it from the water, Spook.
I'm going to go straight to the comments, if I may.
I've heard this before somewhere.
So from Sandra Tal to Al.
Is that a girl?
P6Q.
Not that you can tell these days.
Says it. Come on, guys. Class can't be half empty all the time. There were some good things, and we moved the ball through the mids well. Pendlebury's entry into into the game in the first quarter was a gem.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. So went into this game unchanged.
When did this game unchanged?
Against Adelaide. Unchanged from the St Kilda game.
Oh, we went in unchanged.
Yeah.
I thought you said when this game became unchanged. Like an unchanged melody.
Yeah, people will do that to you. So
we went into the game unchanged.
And I imagine we would have been favourites.
I actually didn't look at the odds, but never tell me the odds.
I don't look at them either.
I think, have we rehashed every gag that we did?
Yeah.
All right, let's start anew.
So what's your immediate response to this loss? It was actually very reminiscent of the prelim last year. Started slow, got on top in the second quarter, looked like we should have the momentum, and in the first quarter they just came out and just trounced us. Then we had a comeback, fell short, and then they just ran away. Oh, not just I ran away with it, but they sealed it.
I mean, look, there's two ways you approach this. I think looking at the side on paper versus the Crows side, which is obviously vastly different and superior to the St Blunder one, straight off the bat, you're looking at their forward line thinking, well, how are you going to contain their three tall forwards? You know, they've got three tall forwards that can play football?
Yeah, all high draft picks.
Yeah. You don't think there's a pattern there, do you?
No.
Now, why didn't they have any tall forwards that they just recycled from another team who couldn't get a game with?
I don't know, because they're going for quality. But
okay.
So we haven't actually talked about this. So we said we're not going to talk about this until we get on thing, because there's times we spend a bit more anger in the preview of the episode we're going to do. So how do you feel? Like watching that game?
Well, I was saying, so you looked at their forward line thinking, okay, well, Frampton is going to be a lone gun down back. You probably think we're going to leak a lot of goals. So you didn't go into the game thinking, well, it's not a fait accompli. Again, look, I don't know where the sports betting had us, but surely it would have been even money. I thought, midfield would probably contain, but, coming out of the game last week, you still look at that forward line and look at it as nothing but problematic. And boy, did they prove it this week. So, look, it didn't come as a great surprise that we lost. I think the way that the game was going and it was ebbing and flowing, I thought probably that third quarter surprised me somewhat.
Yeah.
However, though, they clearly fired a lot of shots in that because they weren't anywhere near as dynamic in the last, and we could have overrun them. If only we'd read what the rule book entailed.
Yeah. I mean, pull it back, though. So the thing at this point to me is you start slow, then you have to play catch up. We didn't kick a goal in the first quarter, so one behind.
It's lowest. I saw it was lowest score since playing Hawthorn in 1837 or something like that.
Yeah,
one behind.
So you totally fucked that up.
Who kicked the behind?
Can't remember. Don't care.
Yeah.
So you fucked that up. In the second quarter, we kicked 4-7. So we get on top, but we're just inaccurate. It's unusual for us. You turn that around to 7-4, that changes the complexion of the game, but you don't. All the key forwards at this stage aren't doing anything. So Membry doesn't do anything until the very last quarter where he kicks a goal.
No, he was statless, I believe, up until that.
I thought Buller had a
miss.
Good first 10 minutes and then just faded into nothing. And then McStay around that game.
Do you think he's leading the Margery medal? Is that what it's called in South Australia? He was best on ground for the Crows.
He was You know, I don't want to be overly harsh on certain players, but I've said it
Oh,
last
don't
week.
let it hold you back.
It's you. I'm talking to Fly McRae here. You are relying on 3 tall forwards, and none of them are tall forwards. McStay's never been, a champion tall forward. Now he's a handy battler, but let's not forget he's had the 3 knee injuries, he's had a finger injury, he's had a shoulder
He
injury.
had about 6 finger injuries.
You know, he came into this is his 4th year at Collingwood.
Yeah,
So,
start of the 4th season.
Yeah, so and he's not a young guy, so maybe that's it for him in terms of what his output is. I know, and the thing is, don't fucking send me some text when he has one good quarter and then doesn't do anything for the next 84 quarters. I don't care about that. Buller just still doesn't look ready. And remember, he's never been a pack crunching or leading forward. He's more that handy flanking tall
forward, really. I mean, just to backpedal on McStay, look, you can be getting older, and the knees and the 72 finger injuries he's had can hold you down, but surely it doesn't make your brain work stupidly. And some of his decision making and execution of skills was fucking appalling.
Or Matthew Lloyd called him out on, or lambasted him.
I don't think that's a case of, my wonky knees are gonna. It doesn't make you make the wrong decision. Or maybe if I fucking jag that kick over there, factoring in my wonky knee, maybe the ball will go exactly where I wanted it to be. You've made decisions to deliver the ball and you've just executed it appallingly bad. But they were bad decisions to start with.
Yeah, I mean, friend Johnny who watched the game, he's made this good point several times. It's just when McStay has no time to think, he plays instinctively. It's like that handball he scooped up on the wing and he gave to Ed Allen. But when he has time to think, he just overly complicates it and just makes bad decisions. I'll go into that a little bit later. In terms of our delivery into the forward line, when you got 3 guys and none of them are pack crunching marks, it's just really dumb. It's low football IQ, just bomb, bomb, bomb. You don't have Mason Cox there anymore to be taking the brunt of, all the opposition defence. You don't have Mychek there to be playing above his weight and crashing into packs. And I actually hope people now sort of look at, particularly Cox, and just go, well, fuck, he actually did bring quite a bit to that forward line, even if he wasn't kicking goals. He was drawing defenders, he was hitting packs. Said this last week, it doesn't work, McRae, change it. You're not going to get these 3 guys to form a synergy that's actually going to make you an effective goal-kicking forward line.
Do you know what they should do?
Recruit.
Do it again next week, or when we're going to buy, haven't we? Next game. Do it again the next game.
He will no doubt.
Triple down that it prove that it doesn't
work. He took
work.
all of last year doing the same shit over and over. But I'm not going to actually prioritise those 3 as the reason we lost. Fucking Darcy Cameron, can you learn to fucking ruck? How long you been in the system and you're beaten by a 2-gamer? And I don't give a fuck that he was 211 centimetres or whatever. It's said this for years, and people just don't look at it. He's not a good tap ruckman. He's a lead around the ground, but as a tap ruckman, he's terrible. I think the he has to advantage were like 10-3, and I think that the rookie had like 6-0 against Cameron. You are not going to win when you have this pedestrian midfield outside of neck, and you're not getting first use of the ball. The amount of times they got it and just went, it was just really horrible.
Yeah, look, I don't think these new ruck rules are doing him any great favours, because you can't. I think you made the comment during the game about you should be crashing into people, but I don't think you can now. You're not allowed to cross that.
No, I don't. But that's not the point I'm making.
But the thing is, when you take that weapon away from him to impose his physicality on the ruckman, what's he got left? He doesn't have a great vertical leap. He's not a great tap ruckman.
Yeah, but my point isn't like go crunch potties. It's what Cox did to Gorn in the qualifying final in 2023. Just that one time, just run into him, give up the free, but make him think twice about the next contest.
Yeah, but I think that line now pretty much says, well, I've got a little bit of a safety margin there because you're not meant to encroach it. If you did it once, well, fuck, you get the free. But if you do it more than once, you've taken away that threat of doing it consistently.
Yeah, I don't say it that way because I always say it like he's an experienced player, or whoever it is, whether it's him or Cox. You just don't know when they're, it's like, for example, Barry Hall. He's not meant to be turning around and punching people in the head, but he did it once, and everyone thought, this guy could actually just snap at some point and do it again, even though it's against all the rules. And this is the thing, it's just Cameron should have just been like, you know what, I'm going to make you a little bit antsy. You know what? Also, it's just sometimes go a little bit early, start to jump. Like actually make him think, where's he coming from? He's coming too early. He's coming too late. I make this guy actually fear his instincts because the first time you went into it, you knocked him down. But Cameron doesn't have like any. Fuck, most of that team doesn't have any aggression.
No.
They're really, really just.
Apart from Sidebottom.
Well, you know, who is it? Maynard, you know, is really the only one with aggression. Maybe Frampton's to some extent, but it's just really, really disappointing that you have this team who just totally lacks that sort of killer instinct. And it sort of brings me to one thing that Mason Cox said at Fremantle. He said, like, he felt now that he's at Fremantle, there was an energy and a hunger there, but he wasn't experiencing anymore at Collingwood. So, you know, what have these guys actually just done? Are they hungry anymore?
Well, I think, you know, you go through that whole thing of climbing the mountain, and we saw what happened after we won the flag in 23. I think that energy to achieve this clearly wasn't there to do it again. We've had another crack last year. We've fallen short. You know, you look at the way. Look, I mean, Geelong had that stupid comeback win that they shouldn't have fucking won. They were dead and buried. When you're humiliated that bad in the grand final, there's not too many sides that come back from that. And I don't think Geelong's got a superpower against it. I think they'll struggle this year. And I think we're in a similar, even though we didn't get decimated or anything like that, but we're in a similar mindset where I just know I can't do it, and we know we can't do it. But we're caught now in this, we're still having a crack, but we should be rebuilding mode. And I don't think you can balance the two. You've either got to make a decision to do one or the other. And I don't think we're clearly anywhere near good enough to have another tilt of the flag with this list. So why are we going out there and playing the same old tired side when you know the results are almost going to be similar? Like, I don't think we're going to get belted, pillar to post. I don't think we're a bottom 4 team or anything like that. But at some point, you've got to realistically look at where you're at and then balance that season accordingly.
You know, there's something that actually occurred to me. Like, I was thinking, even when we beat St Kilda, I was thinking there's something eerily familiar about this season, and I just couldn't work out what it was. And then it clicked to me in the last couple of days.
Collingwood shit you?
No, not just that. If you go to 2018, they made the grand final. Next 2 years, they were in the finals. And then at 2020, they had the fire sale where they lost Stevenson and Phillips and Treloar. And then at 2021, they just looked really spent and gutted. And I was thinking, this is actually exactly the same. 23, we won the flag. And then 24, 25, I mean, we competed in 25. And at the end of 25, you voluntarily lose Cox, Myercheck, and you have no control over Hill. So you've actually gutted the side. That's 2 guys at the least out of your starting 18 and potentially 3 if you decide to play Cox. And then looking at the side now, I was like, fuck, it just feels the same as 2021. It feels like these guys have had the list gutted to some extent, you know, and you've had a couple of retirements. You don't really have anything coming up. And you're meant to just re-perform because that's who you are. And you look at that side, you know, the glass half empty. It's like, well, outside of Nick, what's happening? So let's go to the young guys. Ed Allen.
Mm-hmm. First half was deplorably average. Again, just the way that where he's running to, or he's just shirking the contest. He still looked timid around the ball. I'm assuming at halftime he had a foot well and truly lodged up his ass because he came out and did a lot of hard running and like that sprint that he did. You know, I'm watching on the TV going, oh, fuck, who's that? That's a bit of pace. Yeah. And then it wasn't when they did the close-in shot that you realised it was Ed Allen. You're going, if you can run like that, why aren't you doing that more often? Why are you just doing this lumbering, disinterested gait around the outside of the contest? You'll go in occasionally, but even when he goes in, it's almost like it's an afterthought. I've gone in a little bit too late. I'm not impacting the ball in any way, shape or form. But then the second half was like, okay, well, that's more of what I want to see from you. If you're going to build on this, I'd probably continue to persist because I think most of us ready to list him in the first half. It's just like, you're just not caring. You're not doing anything. But I was encouraged a little bit by the second half. Better, but nowhere near good enough.
His decision-making, I think, is that great. From Bernard Parsons, one of the comments, part of his comment was, Allen is handicapped by playing to instructions, as was Houston last year and Jonathan before that. He will be a good player with West Coast. So is he too constricted by whatever game plan they're playing?
Well, I think it is. And this is what we've talked about quite a few times. It's that fear of fucking up. That, you know, look, I'm new. I don't want to be dropped.
But there's the
I'm
only-
just going to execute what I've been asked to do, and it robs you of your creative flair.
I mean, they said they were playing with a little bit more freedom this year, so we don't know what they're
Well,
asking to
they
play.
get some new couches.
Yeah, that's a really good one. But in terms of, they've obviously got fucking whatever lines they're meant to run, and if the ball's not falling there, I mean, Ginnivan said that a couple of years ago. He said, it can be just starvation corner if the ball's not coming your way. So I don't know if with Alan, as you're saying, he's running the lines he's been asked to run, and maybe there's just no room there for actually him to show anything or to show what you want. But I mean, on the flip side, when he does get the ball, he's not really inspiring. When Nick gets the ball, and you just look and go, well, something will happen. Even if he's not going to run, sprint or whatever, he's going to try and make something happen. With Alan, I just don't see what he's actually trying to do.
No, he strikes me as a player who's playing with very little self-belief at the moment. Now, clearly, we took him at pick 19 or something. There must be some talent there that was being seen. Though I still have a theory these days. They look at a lot of players and think we can turn you into a player, and then find out 3 days later it was a mistake. But I think he just plays with. He just needs a couple of moments to get that fuck, I belong feeling. I can do this. And I don't know whether we play well enough at the moment to encourage that either, that you really, it was quite a pressured game, this one. Adelaide swamped us. There was so many turnovers and mistakes made because as soon as you got the ball, you were at threat of being jumped on. And when you're running on very little self-belief, that's probably the worst place for you. You look at how good he looked in that Melbourne game last year when you were playing the Witches hats.
2 years ago.
But you can't fucking approach football like that's going to be like that all the time. You're going to have to learn how to take a bit of heat and perform inside of that heat.
That was 2 years ago. I wish McRae would actually just put the onus on him and just say, you're in the middle. Just, it's up to you now. You fucking make something of yourself. You do whatever you need to do, because whatever plan they have for him to sort of be sitting on fringes and trying to get into the game, it just isn't working. And it's probably actually going to just teach him bad habits. It's going to be bad cultivation of him as a player.
Well, you look like you're shirking contact. I mean, he doesn't look like a bloke for his size. It's going to be an inside mid. And if you're just going to hop around on the outside and the ball's not coming to you, well, this is what your game's going to look like.
Yeah. But, it's like a few players. So Jordan De Goey.
Yeah, that was incredibly disappointing. What did he end up with, 12 possessions or something like that? In this stage of his career. And, we go through the rhetoric every year of, it's the best he's looked, best preseason ever, the head's is in the right space. He just doesn't do enough during the games. Look, it's great that you're one of the better final players that we have, but I'm kind of not good at math, but I think there's at least 20-plus games to go before that could even be a distinct possibility. Maybe perform now, maybe help the team. Yeah, you are a 30-year-old bloke. You should be just eaching out of your prime. You should be doing a lot more around the ground.
Well, if you look at his 2018, when he sort of really had a breakout season, to now, you would look at him and go, geez, that's been a really disappointing evolution. Instead of becoming, a Petrarca type, who he could have become, he had the explosiveness, he could make things happen. He had pace and all that. And I understand he's had injuries, but instead of becoming a real elite mid, he's just become more of a Jake Stringer type of like, well, sometimes I'll do something and sometimes I won't. And you just never know when it's going to happen. And given the list management we have, it's you need this guy to stand up, or we needed him to stand up, and it just hasn't occurred.
No.
He's had patches of really good form, and then something will happen. He'll either get injury or there'll be some sort of off-field thing, like the Barley thing a couple of years. That was one of his best
fuck-ups.
Yeah, well, that too. But he was one of his best seasons to point, one of his most consistent. But it's really concerning because I look at the midfield. Midfield's just fucking empty. I don't know what anyone sees there but their glass half full. What the fuck do you see there? It's Nick Dacos. Okay.
What's this shit in here?
He's one of the best players in the league. But then who's there to support him? Josh or something? Well, sometimes he'll be okay and sometimes he won't. Pendle's... Look, he has slowed down, When he only got like 12 possessions or 16
Well,
possessions.
Worrell doesn't seem to think he slows down.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But in terms of, Pendle's is not going to be quite accumulator as he was for a lot of his career, just, racking up possessions. He's obviously slowing down a bit. Sidebottom really struggled. McCreary just finds it hard to get in games at times. He might as well be fucking in the Bermuda Triangle and then he just pops up. It's like, who are you looking at that you think is turning this around? And that's a real concern for the lack of quality on that list. And you look at what's happening around you with the Nepo babies and all the talent they have poured into that side. Brisbane with their father's sons and all the talent coming into next gen academies. North Melbourne sitting on the bottom for that as long as they have. There's sides that are just passing you while you're sitting there. And even watching Richmond Carlton on Thursday, and just sort of look at some of their players like Jagger Smith and Sam Lawler,
both sides, yeah.
But it really energises the side,
Well, do you think fucking Nick could be doing that? You got the best player in the competition running around. Wouldn't that energise you?
Well, he's trying to. He obviously tries, but it's just not happening around him because you don't have enough talent. I mean, one I've been really disappointed in the last 2 weeks, and I know they won't drop him, is Ned Long. He has really struggled for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, he's never recovered from that great start he had last year.
Well, there's a couple of times I was just watching him and I'm thinking, he just looks gassed. He looks like he can't move. He looks like he can't cover the ground. Now, maybe it's a case
of carrying the stone of shame.
Well, maybe he's just carrying too much bulk. Maybe he just bulked up too much. I don't know. But, I mean, as it is with Long, he's never going to become Patrick Cripps. He's just going to become a handy accumulator. He's going to be more like a Matthew Kennedy or that sort of type. So who else is there that's really coming up? I mean, Pat Lipinski, Rowan Steele. It's like, who are these guys that you think are going to be beating? You're going to be beating the best sides with these workman-like midfields.
And this is the problem at the moment: is you've probably got 3/4 of the side that are just going to get picked by default. There's no challenge to their roles or their positions. Even average performances are going to guarantee you a game next week.
Well, 2 weeks.
Or 2 weeks, yeah.
I really want to see McRae try and change things up because this is not working.
Well, he said he was going to at the start of the year.
Well, they've said they've adjusted the game plan, but it's like, where? What about Dan Houston?
Well, actually, he's been pretty good. He's had 2 good high possession games.
Don't forget, like my friend Johnny made a good point. Is half his possessions are coming out from playing on from a kick out.
Yeah, well, I mean that's part of it. But from where he was last year, he's improving.
I thought he was terrible in this game.
Oh, okay.
I thought there was just some contest he just would not attack, and he just let his opponent or whoever it was just sort of get a possession out unimpeded. He seems to be really selective as in determining when he's going to go and when he's not going to go. And I don't know if he's just being instructed to wait on the outside to spillage and then you counter attack for us or whatever. But there's times it's like you need to go really hard here and you don't. You don't. And then you just leave us sort of, oh, well, they fucking got a goal because you didn't tackle and you should have tackled.
So you're saying the glass isn't half full?
No, it's not half full at all. I mean, I don't, look, you go, fuck. As people call us pessimistic and go, all this sort of shit, it's like, what do you see here that is encouraging you for the next 5 years? And this bullshit about, I'll jump to this, is like, they say they paid Grundy, so they've cleared the salary cap for next year. All right, let's say you go out and get King and Butters, which we won't, but let's say we go out and get them.
Where's the glass?
How is that solving all the other problems? You have no key defenders coming up. You have, if you got King, which is why would he leave the Nepo babies now anyway, but if you got King, and he's going to be partnered by a 41-year-old Membry and a 36-year-old McStay, it's like, what are you seeing? You are going to have new problems pop up. So 2 players is not going to solve your issues. And then Collingwood will do what Collingwood does. They'll go find their Perryman types, overpay them, plot them in, and then go, look how great they're doing. And it's like they're really good citizens and all that. But you know what? Fucking stars win premierships, not average players. We have a history of average players falling short in 27 grand finals. What, you need 28 to actually really learn that this is the lessons at 28, 9 times as a judge?
I reckon we go to 34.
No, it's bullshit. The one time they got it right was that 2010 flag where they built a side full of quality kids, had talent coming through, and then they fucked it. They dismantled it.
And that's the thing.
They've been playing catch-up ever since.
And even in that year, you brought in Jolly and Ball to complement what you had, not to fucking start from scratch around it. Yeah, and the thing is, like, you go back to Butters, and look, I agree with you totally with King. Like, at the moment now, and it's only West Coast, but Gold Coast are fucking destroying them, which you expect them to do. They're ready to have a fucking red-hot crack, and they'll probably be a very difficult side to stop. Why would Ben King fucking leave that to come to Collingwood to be in the wilderness for another 3 or 4 years? Now, look, history says we don't stay down long. It's hard to see, though, with this particular route that where we're going to get that immediate burst of improvement is. Like, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that, we've just got a whole bunch of fucking absolute stars just waiting in the wings who haven't had a game yet. But then if you conversely go and look at Zach Butters, like Port Adelaide were fucking horrible today against North. They looked shot. Now, he'd be an easy one to extract out of that, but is he going to want to go to somewhere like the Dogs or Gold Coast that are in the contention? He's had fucking years of in the wilderness, never experienced a lot of finals and flags. Why would you come to us?
Yeah, I mean, outside of money.
Well, that's it. It has to be about money. And the thing is, like I was thinking about it today, they were talking about he could potentially cost you $2 million a year. Well, Nick's on about 1.2. Nick's arguably the best player in the comp now. How do you then put an $800,000 discrepancy between someone coming in and someone that you want to fucking keep when Tasmania's circling? You're going to have to bump him up as well. So then you're back in that thing where you put all your fucking eggs into two or three players into the salary cap, and then all this fucking war chest money that you've got, some of it's going to have to filter downwards. But what are you left with? You've got an imbalance again.
The thing, too, is, like you say, we're never down for long. We're not. But what do you count being up as? Like winning flags or just being in the finals?
Well, at my age,
I have no doubt that we will play finals in the next 5 years.
for sure.
But the thing is, are we going to be genuine contenders or just filling out numbers? Now, if you look at like when we've been down, so you go from, let's say, 76, which was first one in the spoon. They had a really talented list. It was just behind the scenes, everything was fucked. And then Hafey got them up. They had a goodish side with some really good talent at the top, and then there was just a lot of journeymen, and they didn't go after the big names they could have gotten, which probably would have won them a couple of flags. They get to 81, and then the team just implodes around all these grand final losses, and then they're out of finals contention until 88. 88 is built on the back of that era is built on the back of the under-19s flag success. So you got players like Brown and all that coming in. So you got this really good young talent, not just serviceable talent. You got really good young talent, and then they recruited wisely with Christian and Kelly and Francis and Russell. So they actually built the side really well. 92, they make a we just go straight out. And 94, we go out in the qualifying final. We don't make finals again for 8 years. 2002. Now 2002, in that squad again, Malthouse inherited some really good talent in the two rockers and Buckley and Burns and Lucuria and Prestigiacama and what he become. But they also got like picks 1 and 3 in the draft, or actually 1, 3, and 3 because they got the 3 the next year too. And they picked up like Shane O'Brien as he'd left Brisbane as a pick 10. So they actually had the arsenal there to spend on good players. Lose 202, 203, they go back to the bottom, and then they get the top picks in there. They get Pendlebury, and they get Thomas at 2 or 3, whatever it is, and Pendlebury at 5. They get Sidebottom 11. They get Reed and Brown at 8 and 10. You get Beams at 29. So again, you've built it with some really good draft talent. You haven't done that this time, and you don't have access to those players, and you don't have the time because of the way you've set up this list where it needs immediate gratification. I mean, we had this discussion, with Gary and Tertz. It's like, would you trade Nick out for top 10 picks if you knew we were just going to be in the wilderness for 3 or 4 years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, this is the thing is, I don't see where these replacement players are coming from. We were also in that 2010 flag. We were lucky enough to get like Heath Shaw, Travis Cloak, so we got some really good father-sons, and then you had like Dane Swan, who was a really late pick, who just became an elite player. I don't see Di Mattia running around becoming the next Dane Swan. I don't see, with Ed Allen, I hope he makes it, but I don't see it. He just doesn't seem to have that intensity that you'd really want an AFL player to play.
And that's the thing, and you talk about the glass being half full or whatnot. We're not down on the club for the sake of being down on the club. We're down on the club for the decisions that they're making and the fact that it doesn't look like there's a rosy picture ahead. And nor have you given any of those potentials an opportunity to show their wares. And so you go into each week thinking, well, it's going to be the same old plus 28 pick age side. Again, maybe you'll drag 1 or 2 up. They'll have 1 or 2 games and then they'll get dropped again. And you think, well, there's just no continuity going on. We're relying still heavily on very seasoned players. The ones that we've brought in of late, aren't potentially all that great, considering some of them we give them 18 months to come good. It's like, you look at that, like, it fucking annoyed me probably because it's Carlton as well. But that Jagger Smith came in and I don't think I watched that much of it because he played round 0.
Yeah.
But he was fucking looking Nick-like out there. And there's not much to him. What is he, 19, 20 or something?
Yeah, he's only the second season.
Because he was injured or something
Did
last
his
year.
ACL pre-season last year.
He just looks dynamic. He probably as the game wore on, he came out of it a little bit. But there's a spark there. And I'm just thinking, fuck, we haven't had anyone in such a long time that's come in.
That's sort of Nick, yeah.
And outside. Well, you can't even mention him because he's just a freak. But outside of Nick, well, I mentioned him. There's just nothing that's gone, fuck, I think we're going to play here. You're getting excited that the likes of Rowan Steele slinging a couple of goals together at the moment. You go, oh, really?
Well, it feels like this Moneyball approach. No disrespect to Jack Fuller, but you've taken a guy who went in a mid-season draft and couldn't get a game at a team that had no key position forwards
available at the time.
Yeah, I mean, because of injuries. And it's like, why do you think he's suddenly going to come good? And look, there's sometimes I look at him and go, I think there's probably stuff to work with there, but you're not going to see it for 2-3 years.
No.
So you brought in the guy who's going to be like a project player if he makes it. So, and the reality is, we had this discussion too. The higher the draft pick is, closer to 1, then the more probability there is that they will succeed. The lower the draft pick, the more chance that they won't, or that you found someone who's going to have good qualities, but also problematic qualities.
Like, it frustrates me too, looking, again, you don't want to hammer those 3 in the forward line, but in this instance, you've got to. That you've seen 2 weeks of bumbling nothing. I think Mircek kicked more goals today than these 3 combined over the last 2 games. You've got a potential quality forward in Charlie West, who had a really good year in the VFL. He would have kicked 50, 60 goals. He can take marks. He leads. It's criminal that he's not given an opportunity now to have a crack. Well, and look, I mean, the VFL, they played a pracky game or something now. I mean, what the fuck isn't the VFL season aligned with this? Where's the sense in stalling that for 2 or 3 weeks while the real stuff's happening? You're getting no game time or anything into these guys off to the side. Well, they went to fucking Geelong on a bus and kicked the footy round. Well, wacko. There's no physicality in practice matches or anything like that. It's just playing safe.
Well, the other thing too is just totally fucking slipped my mind. So what were we talking about there? Just totally flipped me.
Charlie West was the
yeah. Sorry, okay, back. Yeah, Elliot. I said this all last year. When McStay's there, Elliot just disappears. Have you seen him in the last few weeks?
Well, we saw him when they benched 2 of the talls late in the fourth. But him and Tudor just livened that forward line up, and they were 2 of them were instrumental in resurging.
Yeah. So look, it's too late now. I would have kept Cox and just said, well, the talls we have aren't the ones who are going to be part of the next build, and obviously Cox wouldn't be either at his age. But at least while you have him there, you have a functioning forward line so you can bring in the West and they will gravitate to Cox. I said this last week, say it again. If I was the opposition coach, if I was Matthew Nicks, I wouldn't be looking at the Collingwood team and go, ooh, Membry, McStay, Buller, how do we stop that trio?
Ooh, when do I stop shaking?
Yeah. And, you have this Moneyball attitude again, Collingwood, which I don't fucking know when you learn your lesson. Maybe you're mesmerised by the fact that you brought in Tom Mitchell and Bobby Hill in 2023 and you won the flag and you think, well, that proves how good our system is. Hill, great forward, and Mitchell's a Brownlow medalist, so you didn't bring in sort of 2 guys and go, well, can you get better? And you're bringing in guys you don't need, like Dan Houston.
It's complimenting. Really not showing a lot of great signs of rebuilding. And I think that's going to be thrust upon you pretty soon if things... Again, I don't think we're anything more than what I said last week. We're a 6-12 side. Better than probably likely chance we'll stumble backwards into one final this year. But it has to be about growth and development as well this season.
It also has to be about system, because you can't keep playing the same game plan. You can't keep saying, hey, well, this bombing will work one day. It's change it up. Do fucking something different. Reinvent the wheel. you don't have the forwards to play that long bombing game plan.
Mm.
I mean, hearing about them and the Grundy war chest or getting rid of Grundy off the books is like, well, maybe you should have given Mychek a bit more money. Maybe you should have offloaded some of the other players instead of him. You've really set yourself up to... It feels almost like they're saying, this is going to be a nothing year until next year, then we're going to go for the free agents and we're going to get a couple of them in, and then you can jump back on board and expect the best. The way you're playing at the moment, you're not going to compete with any of the real powerhouses. And I'd be worried about competing against... I mean, my brother said something really interesting. He hasn't watched Collingwood for quite a while, but he's just going, I want to see Collingwood smash someone. And it's like, they don't. Under McRae, generally, it's always these close games, holding on. I know there's been a few odd ones in here and there, but you never felt like, we're going to be a side that's going to comfortably win by 5 to 8 goals, and we don't have to worry. But when we're in the lead, we'll just maintain it. We just always feel like we're vulnerable. And we feel more vulnerable than ever now because there's so much in that side that's not working. Darcy Cameron cannot ruck. So you're going to lose first dibs all the time. You have three tall forwards who can't mark. So what the fuck is their point of being there? I said it last week. Dan McStay might be a great guy or whatever, but you have to face the facts that, look, maybe football's passed him by, and you have to get out of this indebtedness that you probably feel toward him.
Well, there's been that saying that's been going around for years that the big men don't slow, they stop.
Yeah. So what do you have working now? Look, Membry, I think, would be a great forward behind Cloak and Rocker, but he's not going to be your number one forward.
No, he's keen on proving that.
He was virtually unsigned in the first half. And it maybe I don't know. Maybe you get rid of Buller and McStay, and then Membry has more space to operate. But this is what I'm saying. You need to reinvent the wheel. It's not working the way you've got it. You need one of these guys like McStay or Buller to do some of the rucking. Our friend Johnny had an interesting point. Maybe play Cameron in the ruck, up forward, and then you just make McStay the full-time ruckman because Cameron can actually take a mark. So you can't just keep... It's like he's just used the same game plan since 2023 and just gone, well, I've lost this player, I'll just put in someone else. And it's really like that money ball. But like in baseball, you play fucking 180 games or whatever in the season, and you have players who rotate through. Mm. So it's like 3 players have to replace one guy, not one-on-one.
Yeah, I think when we lose games this year, if we stick with the current forward line the way it is, this is going to be our Achilles heel because like fucking Adelaide scored how many times on the rebound from our entries?
Yeah.
I mean, we were fucking pinpoint accurate inside 50 as long as you weren't wearing a Collingwood jumper. And the amount of fucking loose guys that Adelaide that we allowed to have in our forward 50 was, well, you think, well, where the fuck are our players? But these aren't thoughts that I reckon we haven't said a number of times over the years either. Anyway.
I mean, this is football. I've always said this, since we started this, is I don't understand why a coach doesn't come along and say, let me try and change the system of how football operates. Every football club goes, let's go get 2 or 3 tools and then bomb it and they bring it to the ground. Imagine someone actually tried, you know what? Let's not try bombing it ever. Let's just always try pinpoint passes. We'll have smaller, mid-sized players, faster, get them on the lead, keep the ball low a lot more so we're not vulnerable in the air. You'd never see anyone just sort of go, well, let's try something different. They don't. They just keep going back to it. And when they don't have those parts, they still fucking try the same shit. It's like you go back to Richmond when they won their first flag and they had Jack Rewalt and Caddy. Caddy was a midfielder, was playing as a centre-half forward because he was the only big body they had who could also do it. So they were still trying to play the same sort of game plan. We've got to play like you've got tools. Why doesn't some coach come along and go, I've got to change the way this works because I don't have the parts to do what I want to do. So I've got to actually fucking change this entirely. I also want to get back. The usage of Nick I thought was really poor. I thought there was a few times they should have just said, just take him out of the middle and, do something different with him. Either put him at full or whatever. They just put him at half back.
He was playing in the wing there for a while.
Yeah, he sort of went out a little bit later, but it was just like it took a long time. And it's, again, that sort of thing. How are you going to protect this guy? He's just getting mauled. Maybe you just need to do something completely different because this is the big problem right here. At Gold Coast, it's like, who do we tag? Do you tag... Raul? Do you tag, bloody Anderson? Who do you tag in that side? And you can go to one of them but then someone else is free. So then you go to that guy. So when the original one's free. With Nick, it's just Nick. That's it. That's the only guy you tag. You don't have to tag anyone else at Collingwood. Just tag Nick. And as we're seeing in the last couple of weeks, he got 33 possessions, kicked 2 goals, and we still lost. So you're probably going to be able to go, well, give him some license, because if I was, being with total honesty, brutal honesty, if I was an opposition coach, so who do we play next? I have no idea, but I think it's Brisbane, but I would be saying to my defenders, you're on McStay, you're on Buller, just run the fuck off them. You're not going to get hurt that much the other way. So you have a lot more license to be creative. You have a lot more license to launch counter-attacks. You are not likely to be hurt that badly on the flip side, because these guys, the team in general, cannot pass to them. So that's one issue. And if they can, these guys aren't great marks and aren't great presences.
No, that's it. And you're going to set up to play off that rebound for our inside 50s. Because we're going to hold back a little bit, but they can kick over it and run through like they did. We got cut up on that rebound.
And how terrifying was whenever they went forward, you had Fogarty, Tilthorpe, and Walker, and you just go, it's always scary when one of those guys.
But they open up space in their forward line, and how many times did they lead into it? Flat, low passes, marking on the lead. We just don't do that.
Yeah. So look, the other guy too, I wish we saw more of in the middle is Strack Chris. He went in the second quarter, and I think he actually turned the game, and then he just didn't seem to be there again. He's a big body. He's got a lot of the stuff that you want. He's a big body. He takes risks. He's a good raking kick. This is the guy you should be playing more in the middle. I'd rather be playing him right now than Long in the middle. I'd be sending Long down to the VFL and just saying, look, we've got faith in you, but you just don't seem to have touch at the moment. So go down there, get your touch back. And you got to remember this guy with Long. He's really had the Callum Brown treatment that Buckley did, where it was just like, I'm just going to keep playing you. You're not doing well. I'm going to keep playing you. It can't be easy to rediscover touch and confidence in the same pressure environment at AFL level when you have no space and no room to breathe. So usually that's when you do send people to the AFL. That's sport. You send people to a lower league, so they're playing against lesser opposition, and they just get a chance to rediscover touch and then hopefully bring that confidence back up. When do you do this? Never. Umpiring.
Fucking ordinary. That's 2 in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
The holding the ball rule was just...
Oh, it's also that. And look, I know. Well, but there's 2 things. Like that stand, those 2 stand 50s that we got penalised for. There's 2 things about the stand rule. One, it's the most pointless fucking rule. I don't know what it is it's meant to be fixing or what it's meant to be doing. I
thought it was meant to be fixing.
But it's just fucked. It just doesn't serve any purpose. Now, having said that, and I'm using that as an excuse for losing, how the fuck? They yell it out. How did you not hear it? Someone has to react. There's no excuse for missing that. The problem also is with that is in the context of that game where the game is potentially there to be won. Nobody's fucking focusing on listening to they're thinking about where do I go to maybe impact the next contest. The ball's going to go that way. I'm running to position. What the fuck does it matter if someone doesn't stand on the mark?
Well, that's my big problem with it. So, the rule's there just, again, to deprive the team without the ball of at least one player. So then the guy with the ball can actually just waltz around him and just keep the game more free-flowing. The big problem is, in the past, with that on the shepherd, on the mark rule, is you don't have to be on the mark. So if a team chooses not to be on the mark, the guy with the ball can just play on and keep running. And we've seen that. But now you actually say, no, you must have someone on the mark or we're going to penalise you for it. That's just absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong to be fucking saying, hey, you got to sacrifice on your players and put him in a stationary position which has no impact outside of to take him out of the contest. And that's a really retarded fucking assertion from the AFL. So that was the thing that really pissed me off with that rule.
The stand rule, and it's not just about us and it's not about the context of that. I think just across the board, it's just a dumb decision made. And the AFL fucking excel at this stuff. But it's just pointless.
It is, but again, they're trying to keep the game free flowing. If you look at every rule, so I had this conversation with my brother yesterday. So last touch means a free kick, pretty much. You don't reward tackling the way you should be rewarding tackling. You're trying to lessen the physicality because of concussion and all that sort of stuff. You want the game ping-ponging back and forth. You don't have to wait after a score. You just can send it straight back into play. You're turning the game more and more into a fucking 180-yard game of basketball. Because that's what it is. It's just going back and forth. And like in basketball, if the ball goes out, the other team gets the ball, they just get it to send it straight back in. After a school basketball, they can send it straight back in. You don't want physical contact, which basketball generally doesn't have physical contact. So this is what you want. You want a high-scoring game, which is just going to excel at moving back and forth, and then you can play in where clubs have to force rotations to accommodate this fucking style that you have enforced for your decision-making or the changes you made. It's horrific. And the whole AFL administration just grows increasingly moronic with the decisions they make, and yet everyone lauds them. Like, the game's never been bigger. Really? Well, fuck. Must be really hard to promote the national game. What are you doing? You putting it on TV?
But I think the AFL, it's probably one of those sports where you're seeing a lot of people at administrative level coming in now, probably to meet some fucking target, who have no real feel or sense or touch for the game. They've never played it. They're probably good at doing the business side of things, but they're probably also being influenced by poor decisions.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, this makes sense when it's explained to me. You can make anything make sense when it's explained to you very slowly, but you've got to see it in action before you finally judge it. And there's just not too many of these changes where you think, well, I think the game's better off because of this. Most of them are fucking detrimental. You're talking about the spirit of the game. Formula One is a great example of how you can fuck a sport overnight by making really poor decisions about how you've got history with something, and then you try and change it overnight, how quickly it can unravel. And you're seeing with some of the rules that the AFL's bringing, like this fucking... I was saying to Rocket today in chat about he said, I like the last touch out of bounds rules. I said, yeah, look, in theory it's good, but it's like everything the AFL does. There's 87 fucking sub reasons why you can and can't pay it. And you got players now that'll just fucking gesticulate that it should be a free, and it probably isn't, or it will be. You just don't fucking know because of all these things that you got to go through. And the umpires, I imagine you're giving them. You've taken a base set of rules, which should be quite simple to and easy to adjudicate, and you're now making him think really quickly about which of the 68 subsets of this rule has been infringed or is it allowed to continue on. In a moment like that, it's got to be ridiculously complex to fucking make that right decision.
The last touch, if you're going to have it, I just have it last touch and everywhere, not in the defensive 50 or not in the 2 arcs.
But then you might as well do something radical, like if you dispossess the ball while you're in possession of it, then that's holding the ball.
Yep.
The amount of fucking times where you can just drop the fucking ball and that's play on, it's just pretty. You made a mockery of the rule. It's the same, and the thing is, you've then given that last touch thing another exclusion by it's in between the arcs. Just make it all around the fucking ground.
Well, the other thing I don't like about the last touch is, and we saw it in our game, and it's not saying that you'd hurt Collingwood exclusively, because it's for every team. The amount of times it just deviates because the ball's taken an awkward bounce and it deviates off their feet, or the ball's loose and 2 guys are going for it and it just hits someone's foot and it goes out. It's like, well, he's getting penalised for that. He's getting penalised for an accidental deflection.
And you couldn't deliberately recreate that if you tried.
Yeah. And you're going back to I said this for the last few years, is you got rid of the deliberate rule and you turned it insufficient intent. So that way you could actually penalise players who kicked the 50 metres and it bounced 4 times and it took a knife break and went out. Because then you could say you should have tried harder to keep it in. You got insufficient intent to try and keep it in. Whereas the reality is, if you just went to the original rule, which is deliberate, when players are purposely sending it over the line. You could have just enforced that rule a lot harder. But instead, and Greg Son said this, which I actually thought was really interesting. Last year, they were talking about what rule changes, and he said, well, I think we'll probably go to last touch, but the deliberate rule's pretty much that now, anyway. So it's like you admitting that it's being paid in the way that it's really just penalising the last person to touch it, even though that wasn't the actual rule. So you had an agenda there you had to enforce, and now you've enforced it this year, and it's like people go, is it a better rule? It's like, it's not. It's a terrible rule, because the one thing, and I remember Darren Jolly fucking wrote this years ago when he was playing at Collingwood, you keep enforcing these rules where you want the ball live, and then you complain when players get soft tissue injuries. It's like, you don't give the players a fucking chance to just catch a breather. You don't give the players a chance just to go, okay, it's going to be ball in, I've got 10 seconds here to just catch my breath. And people go, oh, that's ridiculous, players don't do that. I think it was Jordan Lewis or someone. I was talking about Charlie Curnow last year when he took a mark outside 50 and you just played on and you kicked. I think that was the thing. And Lewis goes, that really pisses off all the mids, because that little period where the player has to go back and line up, that's when the mids are able to catch their breath. And then you're able to set up and go back to your zones. But when they just play on that means you don't have time to fucking catch your breath and you don't have time to get back to your zones. So you totally compromise the side. you're fucking running these players into the ground, and then you complain, oh, well, we're really concerned about, soft tissue injuries, and that's why we're limiting rotations. It's the most absurd logic. It's fucking like something Alex Kurtzman would write. What was I going to say about any other thoughts about this game? The stand rule we talked about, and the holding the ball's fucking ridiculous. But
the thing is, look, a lot of people hang their head on this. I think there are times where we did play well and we tore manfully in defence and all that sort of thing. We got blown away. We came back. We only lost the game by 14 points. Now, Fly made the.
I probably made it too.
He made a mention in the snippet of the press conference that I watched, which was he was saying, I thought we were pretty average out there tonight. Did a lot of this thing. The same token, though, we only lost the game by 14 points. So, you can see a bit of blue sky. His glass was half empty, or was it half full? It was. I would have been happy with the win. Obviously, it's always good to win. I thought, we had Adelaide in the ropes in the last. They looked tired, but those 250s and those 2 goals fucking reinvigorated them. They found legs after those moments. It's disappointing that it came to that as a finish because I think we would have overhauled them. But the problem is with these types of wins is you are papering over the cracks.
Yeah.
All you're doing is you're staving off the inevitable belief that you're not as good as you think you are. Some of these games are going to be reality checks, I think, throughout the season. Now, we will have, probably quite a few wins this year, but the cracks are showing.
Yeah.
And it's our fucking job to report on them.
Opine on them.
Opine. I don't think there was anything to do with Wood.
John Ralph. Scott Pendlebury is facing a career-first suspension for a high hit on Worrell, but the plot twist, the AFL's good bloke rule is still alive. Can he plead exceptional circumstances for a discount at the tribunal?
Do you think John Ralph, when he wrote that, probably dispensed with any need for Viagra for the next 6 months? He'd be as hard as a fucking rock at the moment still, having written that. He would have thrived on that little moment.
So he was given the week, Pendles.
Yeah, that's fucked. I have an issue with this because, this guy's played 427 games without ever being cited once, doesn't even know where the tribunal's address is. I reckon that contact was... There's no malice or anything in it. There's 2 blokes contesting the ball. Like he said, he was on the outside. They've both run in. He's looked up. Worrell's come fucking charging at him. They've collided. It's a fucking football incident.
Yeah.
That should happen 1,000 times a game and no one gets cited. It's but they all fucking jump on this because it's Pendles. And he's such a fucking nice guy. And I think as everyone's hanging their hat on this, looking at the nice guy history, I think that was changed after the Cameron fuck up. So, there's every chance they're going to uphold this week. And this is a fucking embarrassing moment for the AFL. This is a bloke. Look, anyone else I probably would have been ambivalent about it. But if this guy's been so fucking fair his entire career with the way he's played, that this would be, even if he deliberately meant it, would be uncharacteristically abnormal. And the fact that your reward for doing this and playing so fair for so long is you get a week. Look, I reckon they'll argue it and get a fucking fine out of it. It'd have to be the case, but it should never have been fucking cited in the first instance. You look at the bloke and go, yep, football incident, move on. Was there a free or anything paid at the time? Worrell was was playing on.
No, I called it we just rebounded out of it. I was reading the comments to this John Ralph thing. Fuck, some people are really stupid. There's a few people who are not Collingwood supporters go, even if that was Toby Green. I can't remember the other guy he cited, but he cited 2 of the problem children of the tribunal. Goes, that should still not be a suspension. But then you had one guy goes, I think Collingwood just have to accept that Rankin missed the whole final series for saying a naughty word. I'm reading that going, there's a homophobic slur. That equates to a naughty word. That's your parallel, you fucking moron. Well, that's a sign.
Season's fucked.
Yeah. Well, he's never been good for us anyway. Now, so I'm reading some of the other... it's a good guy defense. I got it. It's well, they did use it before. Someone goes, just because he's had a good record for 400 games, should that count? It's it does actually count a lot of times. And someone actually said, I haven't murdered anyone for 50 years now that I did my 50 years. It's really? That was your... He claimed it was a joke because people were calling him out. And it's the stupidity of people. This is the one thing I've said for years, is you have to accept sometimes players collide. and someone might get hurt. I mean, Worrell got up. He was a bit dazed, but he got up. There's some, in a contact sport where you have 100-kilo players running at the ball, making decisions, in real time and have a millisecond to decide what they're going to do. And sometimes you can do everything right and you still collide. And then you're going to penalise the guy for that. I thought penalties were really for doing the wrong thing, not for accidentally hurting someone because two players collided and one was a little bit lower. And that's ridiculous. It's like, you're just penalising players because someone else got clipped accidentally. It's a ridiculous way to run the fucking game. Any other final thoughts about the fucking game? I asked you once, but nah, fuck that.
How are we going to go against Dubai?
Dubai, we're going to down there.
We can't go to Dubai. It's a war zone now.
Make Pius X, that AI slop intro ain't ever going to get old. Total hoot. Also another good review.
Hang on a second.
It's not AI.
That wasn't AI.
It's not AI. We took dance lessons over the off season.
That's Spook and Sly slop.
Yep. Sergio Montoro.
How often do we go slops?
How often do we use AI? Never. As the opening shows. Enjoyed your review of the game and our young guns. Agree Will Parker is the pick at this stage. No Nick, 35. Disappointing loss to the Crows. I think a forward line with McStay and West with rotation of 4 small forwards would be more dynamic than the current forward line. You could have Elliott coming out of the goal square with one of the tall forwards playing up the ground and the other playing out of the pocket and chopping out in the ruck. The current setup is diabolical, so we're all in agreement with that. No Nick.
Where's his glass? Did he mention where his glass is at?
Terrible. Sarah Donahue. With more back in the fence, I play Howe up forward instead of Membry, which I actually think is a pretty good call.
Yeah, definitely.
For the 3/4, Howe will last. I think it's a really good call. And for mine, McStay has always been a very, very average forward. Would start either Buller or West ahead of him. Would also start West ahead of Membry if Howe is required down back. Yeah, I mean, the only thing they've got to look at is who's going to be the relief ruck. Bernard Parsons, Parker is full of self-confidence, which enhances his ability, which is up to AFL standard. And go back to the young guys. Parker plays like he wants to be out there. He plays with some intent.
Yep.
The Allen comment that I made earlier, too early to assess Buller. Steele is a good ordinary player who plays the instructions and runs all day. Injuries have stuffed McStay so far. Another good ordinary player. Harrison needs many more games in the AFL to gain form and confidence before he's ready. Agree, Spook. Train as you play. Too many of our players don't. Nick shows potential and should be persevered with. Our coach was excellent.
So you're just going back on the Harrison thing, and it's going to be the same thing with Reeve. Neither of these are going to be rushed back in coming off an ACL. They're going to have at least, 7 or 8 games in the VFL, which is essentially, 2 or 3 months, because the VFL has a bye every other fucking weekend, don't they? So it's going to be a long journey for those two to come back in. But you want them to come back in because I think both of them have got potential.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the player they're really missing, of all the guys, I really think they actually miss the Cox type of presence or my check. But the guy they're really missing too, I think, is Hill.
Oh, fucking massively. Because you saw with the amount of fucking times it bombed in and hit the deck, no one's crumbing. No one even looked like they were going for that ground ball.
Yeah.
You got big fucking tall guys trying to bend over and pick it up at snail's pace. He would have been dynamic. And the thing is, look, probably to be, and I don't know where Adelaide's at. They were fucking abysmal in the finals last year. They finished top of the ladder or something, from memory. But look, even against us, they were good for one quarter. But if we had more in that side, suddenly defensive pressures doubled. You got Hill running around mopping up. We probably would have won. Again, still papering over a few cracks there, but
Hill's a really big one because I don't think any of the other 3 small forwards are really genuinely crumbing forwards.
No, and he's got pace to burn too. Yeah. He's going to hit a lot more of that. Because at the moment, I think you mentioned it before as well, that I don't think Elliott's having any effectiveness because he's got 3 fucking lumbering boulders rolling around in front of where he normally leads into. And, as I said, as soon as they went off, fucking hell, he livened up.
Yeah.
But Hill, though, I don't think needs those straight lines to run in.
No.
He's just opportunistic and has the pace to
this is
to reach
the point I'm
back
making. It's Hill plays as a crumbing forward, whereas Elliott actually plays more as a lead-up forward.
Yeah.
A lot of his, he'll do creative stuff when the ball hits the ground, but he's just such a good lead-up forward. And neither, it's just McCreary, Schultz and Elliott, they're not that sort of opportunistic small forward. I know they'll get the occasional goal, but that's where Hill really excels. No, Nick, 35 again. The Oppo flogs are so desperate to anoint anyone other than Nick Dacos the league's MVP that they started saying Wanganeen Malira is better than him. Malira's 19 touches, Nick's BOG with 41. Not even close. Semblero was actually injured pretty early.
Today.
No, against us.
Was he?
Yeah, they said they saw him in the rooms at halftime, and you could
saw
barely
back
move.
from his wallet.
Digsby second. Pendles can play until he's in the wheelchair. At this rate, freakish game for a 38-year-old. Imagine he ran over Worrell in the wheelchair. That would have been interesting.
Oh, what a dilemma that'd be for the AFL.
So I'm reading this. I'm not actually editorializing. Hills 710. McShit, worst player we have picked up in years. He offers absolutely nothing to our team. And how much cap space are we wasting on him? So I read that.
Did I write that?
Oh, that signed your mother.
Epstein's mother.
The third eye wizard. Nick gets booed because he is a gun and he plays for the Pies. It's jealousy.
I look at, and we've touched on this one before. I actually thought about that when I was watching Jagger Smith run around going, this is a fucking guy I enjoy watching. He plays well. If you're a kid, you watch these guys play, and this is how you should emulate your game. Where does it benefit anyone booing fucking champions of the game? Other than it is petty jealousy.
Actually, I should point out, because I didn't write that down. Fucking well done, Adelaide supporters, booing Quaynor again. Fuck, you are geniuses. You are fucking useless. And the AFL and Adelaide will not do anything about it. They won't sort of issue a statement and say, hey, if we actually catch this happening, we'll fine you or whatever. You again, selective, arbitration about when they do something. No one said anything about it. And I thought, I was watching that going, fuck, you people serious? Your player, he fucking issues a homophobic slur and somehow Quaynor's at fault. Fuck, you are a moronic bunch.
Well, the AFL can't even say the word Jew. They won't even watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
So we have a bye. Just a final thought. Is the glass half filled or half empty, or is it half full?
Sly, you be the judge.
I think, you know what the perfect analogy is, and I can't remember if I made it up or I ripped it off from someone. Pick it up again. So for that amount of water, you know what it is? That glass is too big. And that's fucking Collingwood's problem. The requirements on the club to be a contender, are huge, and it's way too big for Collingwood right now. We do not fit those requirements, and we don't fucking fit a rebuild. You're in never land. Not without the young talent to actually rebuild on the run and to generate some excitement, and without the established talent and quality there to fucking win a flag.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, people are saying it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a season where you're going to see, I think, you'll see games where we just win because it all clicks. And then you'll see games like what happened that night. It's like, yeah, you fucking went out there, you looked at it for 2 quarters, and then it just all went to shit. And we had to shout at the same frustrating shit. Final thoughts?
Good luck with the bye.
Yeah.
Where's the glass for that bye game?
Don't know.
No, neither do I.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do people drink this? Fish fucking it.
If you only consider the glass more than half full, fucking go buy a thimble. I'll pour this into there. Anyway, that's it from us. Sign, leave comments, subscribe, all that sort of stuff.
Yes. We're also going to be looking to introducing that Kofi thing for tips.
Are we?
In that, I'll put a link in the
Really?
in the thing. Yeah. So look, if you feel like you love this stuff and you want to buy us a beer or something, there'll be details in there. We're not good at this sort of stuff, so if you do, you do.
This is going on.
If you don't, you fucking don't.
This is like you have to do if you're losing your job.
What's that?
This Kofi thing.
No, I think it's just showing appreciation. Everyone does it.
But you lost your job and you're asking about money. That's really, really unusual.
I've got three kids to feed and I'm broke.
Yeah.
And
it's not even used.
That's not even true. I can't even afford a full glass of fucking water.
Anyway, we're going later. There's a piece of paper for you to throw.
McStay!